From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with briefing number 6 for the winter weather advisory tonight through early Saturday. This briefing covers just central North Carolina. And this is as of 9 a.m., Friday, the 28th of January, 2022. If you've seen our last slide set we emailed right before 6 a.m., no major changes. Let me show you current conditions. And I've got the radar and I've got temperatures. And clearly you could see it's a chilly morning, cold morning. These are current readings. We are expecting readings to, climb, up and through the 40s here this morning under a partly sunny sky. But the precip, you'll notice 2 areas of precip, one area of rain starting to form off the coast. No surprise there. There's an area of precip back here over eastern Tennessee, northern Georgia, northern Alabama. So we got a little ways to go. This, as we've been advertising, today will be dry, at least during the daytime hours. Okay, so what's the setup of this system? And I've kind of mentioned this yesterday. In fact, no change since what we described and talked about yesterday. In fact, our confidence is even a little better in what's going on now. What I'm showing right here is a radar simulation, and this is a very coarse one. There's not a whole lot of detail in this particular, and I'll show more detailed radar simulations here shortly, but I just thought I'd take a brief moment to show you a little bit of the setup. But let me first overlay the pressure. And give me a moment here to find that. There it is right there. So this is where we would have surface highs and surface lows. And what we've got right here is the area of low pressure that's going to be forming offshore. And the issue with that is, look how far offshore it is. And number 2, this is the basically heights and pressure, if you will, at about 20,000 feet above the ground. And this is basically an area of low pressure, lower heights aloft, and this is what we call a trough axis. And the wind around the low pressure, as everyone is aware of, is counterclockwise. So there, those arrows show the wind flow around the upper low, okay? And of course, the flow around the surface low would be similar. It would be sort of like this, right? So what happens is, behind this upper low, represented by the orange lines here, there is a great deal of sinking air, okay? And this turns out to be very dry. When the air sinks, it dries. And a lot of that dry air will, in turn, get wrapped around and brought into the front bottom and southeast side of that trough. And we refer to that as a dry slot. And sure enough, because you've got the upper low way back over the Ohio Valley, and it is so separated from the low offshore that gives this dry air an opportunity to feed in between the systems. And that's why we will have this break in between here of no precipitation between the low pressure offshore and the precipitation associated with the upper low. So this map is getting a little messy, right? So again, this rain right here, this is all associated with this low, and this precip you see back here is more associated with the upper trough, okay? And then the dry air kind of got wrapped in and moves in between them, and that's why it's dry in between. Now, what ultimately that means is that anytime these two are separated as far as they are, you're going to get that dry air, and that will basically cut down on overall precip amounts over us. So that all we're left with here in central North Carolina is whatever this can give us, okay? And this upper level low and its associated precip generally do not produce as much precip by themselves as, say, a good strong surface low does. Now watch what happens as I move this forward in time, right? Now, once the upper low and the surface low become a little bit closer, look how much closer they are, and the precip from the upper low gets involved and almost overlays and with the surface low. That's when things really get going. When this upper low gets closer to the surface low, that's when the precip on the northwest side really starts cranking out. And as you could tell, that doesn't happen until it's well past us. So that's why we are not going to get in on the gargantuan snow amounts that some of the models were showing just a few days ago. All right. So it's, the two systems, the upper level and the lower level, are coming together a little bit too late and too far down the road from us. All right. So what does that leave us? That still leaves us with snow and subsequent hazardous travel. But that's as a result of only an inch or two of snow. Now, I say only, right? For the Carolinas, that's still a lot of snow, right? I mean, 1 to 2 inches of snow can cause a lot of problems and can cause dangerous travel conditions. So that'll be the case for much of central North Carolina starting tonight and then going through Saturday morning, especially, and then subsequent black ice concerns the next few nights. I will point out, though, even though we're well away from the surface low, it's still going to be pretty windy. So starting tonight and going through Saturday morning, we're going to see wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour, and that could result in a few downed trees and some power outages. All right. So, but really the biggest concern of all those I just laid out is the snow and hazardous travel. All right. So basically tonight we're good. Let me back up here. Today we're good. Today we're good. This evening things will kind of get going here. I'll show that in more detail in a minute. And tonight and Saturday morning are the times of the worst weather. All right. And then later on, Saturday during the daytime and Saturday night, we'll have to deal with really, really cold conditions and maybe some slick travel conditions continuing. And then black ice, typical black ice concerns the next few nights. All right. Now, these radar simulations, and again, you should already have this in your email. I'm just going to use these because I still think they're pretty good. They're valid from what we showed or what we emailed out earlier. Because we're going to warm up into the 40s and approaching 50s in some spots, when that precip first gets in here mid-afternoon, it's going to fall as rain. So if you're in the triad, and maybe in a few very isolated other locations around central North Carolina, don't be surprised to see a few sprinkles of rain mid-afternoon. But finally, by 5 p.m., we'll start to see that rain change to snow across the triad region. So the triad region's evening commute might end with a little bit of snow. And then you can see how that snow band progresses eastward right through the evening and continues to just slowly meander eastward overnight tonight. So, it's just going to be one very wide band of snow. And most of the snow rate in that wide band will be pretty light. But somewhere embedded in that band, and I just don't know, we don't have the capability, we just don't really have the capability at this point to really pinpoint and nail down where that narrow 20 mile wide swath of higher amounts will be. But somewhere, and maybe more than one location across central North Carolina, there's going to be a narrow swath of higher amounts. When I say higher, I mean 2 to 3 instead of just 1 to 2, right? And then as we head through the overnight hours, that big kind of wide band, it's a wide band, but again, it's not particularly heavy. It's mostly light with, again, a few embedded heavier, swaths of snow showers. But eventually tomorrow morning after sunrise, all that pushes east and ends. So it'll be all gone by certainly by noon tomorrow. Okay, so that's the evolution. When it's all said and done, we're thinking on average, most of central North Carolina will see 1 to 2 inches of snow. Most of central North Carolina. Right now, we're thinking the highest amounts, that 2 to 3 inch area, may occur across the Piedmont, the western Piedmont particularly. And if we had to take a guess as to where the lightest amounts will probably be, right now, we're thinking that the lighter end of this range will probably be across the central and southern I-95 corridor. We think this area will be closer to 1 inch. This area here will be more in the 2 to 3 inch range. And this area, northern I-95 corridor, is more the more of the 1 to 2 inch. Okay, so again, don't hold me to that, because again, we're not good at predicting where those narrow swaths of heavier snow is. But in general, most of central North Carolina will see 1 to 2 inches of snow. Okay, again, the highest will probably be somewhere in this corridor. The lowest will probably be somewhere in this corridor, and kind of in between will be north and east of Raleigh, is kind of what we're thinking now. Again, that could change. This swath here of the 2 to 3 could shift east, it could shift west, it could shift south. But right now, that's our best thinking of where these amounts will play out. Again, I think it's worth pointing out and worth noting that, even 1 to 2 inches of snow still can cause a considerable, hampering of travel. All right. Then finally, I want to mention too that it will be very windy tonight and through early, or at least midday tomorrow. These are forecast wind gusts. So that could result in a few downed trees, a few power outages. Don't be surprised if your power goes out. Okay, I don't think that's going to be widespread, but be prepared for that as a possible impact. And then finally, I want to mention too that the air coming in behind this exiting low, this low pressure system on Saturday, in its wake, we're going to have some really chilly, cold, not just downright cold air coming in. Okay, when you factor in that strong wind on Saturday, we're going to be looking at wind chill values in the triad in the upper teens, in mid-20s across the rest of central North Carolina. It's just going to feel cold. I mean, I just plan on staying indoors all day Saturday. If I have to go outside, it's only going to be I'm just planning on staying indoors all day tomorrow. so anyway, because it's going to be cold. And it's going to be even colder yet Saturday night. Okay, these are wind chill values for Saturday night. We're talking single digits in a lot of places, especially up near the Virginia border. So just keep that in mind. Dress appropriately if you have to go outside. Okay, and the best thing to do is just kind of chill out and take it easy, starting tonight and through Saturday, through Sunday morning, and then on Sunday we'll get some good sunshine to melt whatever inch or two of snow we get. And it should do most of the melting. And then, of course, Monday night, we'll just have to be careful again for any lingering black ice. So anyway, that's really and it really, when you think about it, our forecast really hasn't changed much since we've been doing these briefings. This is kind of while it's been tweaked a little bit around the edges, that's pretty much what we've been thinking all along, that this is what we call an advisory event. And on the first page of this slide, you notice we did issue a winter weather advisory last night for all of central North Carolina. Okay, on average, most of us will see 1 to 2 inches of snow. There could be a few spots that see a little more. There could be a few spots that see a little less. But on average, most of us will see about 1 inch or 2. All right, things will be getting underway late this afternoon across the triad, this evening for the rest of central North Carolina. Let's see. So obviously, dangerous road conditions tonight through Saturday. Black ice concerns the rest of the next couple nights. Could be a few power outages with those wind gusts. If this morning was your trash pickup day, make sure your trash can is brought back because it'll blow around if it's left by the street tonight and tomorrow. That's just one example of how you could prepare. Okay, and then of course, like I said, it's going to be so cold that the best thing to do is just plan on just staying indoors tomorrow. All right, so we'll do another one of these live webinars at 4:30 this evening. I'm going to do another one at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but it's just going to be a quick storm wrap up and maybe a look at black ice concerns. But it's probably going to be really quick tomorrow morning, and that'll be our last one. So, and then we'll be updating slides throughout the duration of the event as needed.